Fantastic. Mate, congratulations on Phantom Thread. It's an extraordinary film, very beautiful, very, very delicate, very unexpected. And as with all of your films, it doesn't seem to care about the filmmaking environment or the cinematic environment in which it appears. Paul Thomas Anderson, do you take any notice or care at all about the world of film that your films arrive in?
The world of film. That you mean? Let me just clarify. Do you mean the what's happening with other films at the moment?
Trends and things like that.
Well, right. Well, it matters, doesn't it? I mean, yeah. I mean, people. I don't. That's a really good question. I wasn't prepared for anything like being that smart this time of the morning. I think that look, you get the pendulum swings a lot of different ways. Sometimes appetite is for meatloaf, and sometimes the appetite is for gummy bears. You never really know sometimes which way audiences are going to sway. Our film's pretty old-fashioned, and kind of a little bit more. Its link, its cousins are in these movies of the 40s and 50s, 30s even too. The Hitchcock stuff, the Gaslights, the great British movies like Passionate Friends and Brief Encounter. That's what we're kind of doing. We're distant cousins of those movies. So sometimes people are in the mood for that kind of stuff. Sometimes they're not. But you have to. My consideration, I have to say, is that you have to keep your head down and you have to just stay in your own lane and run your own race. And if what you do happens to match up with what audiences are in the mood for, then that's great. And if this month it doesn't, then you have to keep working ahead at what you do.
Let me slightly rephrase the question. When you're conceiving and making the film, do you have an audience or a market in mind?
Well, you in a way, what you're doing is what I would like to think I'm doing is thinking of the whole world, but that's a very, very big thing to try and wrap your arms around. So, you think about an audience, the entire process of making a film. You're constantly asking yourself, is what's happening in front of us going to be clear for the audience? Is what is happening with these characters right now identifiable and understandable? Those are questions that are asked every single day. So, but ultimately you can't, I don't think that you can, I can't, at least anyway, try to think about what it means to make a movie for the entire world. You ultimately, you're trying to think of, make the story that you think is the best. But for me, I think, okay, so let me try to do this here, and if I believe this, and I'm telling this story, and I'm enjoying it, and liking the way that it's going, then hopefully others will as well.
I think one of the most interesting aspects of this film is the very organic, creative process that you engaged in the writing of it and in the directing of it. And I just want to start by asking you if what is up there on the screen is close to what you intended. Did you have a set vision for the film?
It's pretty close. It's pretty close. What we did have a lot of things that we did end up cutting out, but what was written was very, very close to what you see. The film was made in a very fast way. It was written in about a year, but once we started shooting, the distance between shooting it and cutting it and putting it out into the world was under a year. So there was really not a lot of room to experiment or to mess around too much. We were really on a mission to capture the scenes as they've been conceived and written by Daniel and I.
Let's just talk about the story for a moment. I'm very keen to know what it was that you wanted to say about the nature of love with Phantom Thread.
Well, I never really knew, and I don't even know that I still know, and that's okay. It's a little bit more like you accumulate a series of scenes and moments that happen between two people, and you step back and you look at the result, and you have had a hand in shaping the result, but hopefully you've allowed these characters to behave as they would that you've created. You put them in situations to watch them respond, and so boy, the nature of love, I don't know. It's I guess I try to stay away from big, huge, sweeping ideas like that, and you kind of work on the small stuff, and the bigger stuff then ends up taking care of itself. But the best thing to say is, well, love is strange. Like that old song says, love is strange.
I am familiar with the story that you tell about how it was when you were ill and the way that your wife responded to you in a loving way when you were ill that was part of the inspiration for the premise of this film. But you do seem to suggest, well, a kind of a dark side to that.
A dark side to that? Oh, sure. Yeah, of course there is. I mean, yeah, for everybody, there's a dark side to that.
And also, it's about they get into a battle for control. She enters his very controlled life and his very domineering life, and he doesn't like any challenge to that. He doesn't really want to compromise, which is meant to be one of the things that you're supposed to do in a relationship is compromise.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, with the other part, but the flaw in what you've just pointed out is that I think that secretly, while he protests and makes it clear he doesn't want anybody to challenge him, what he's really saying, like a true control freak, is somebody come and challenge me. Please, somebody fight me to the death. Without anybody willing to fight me to the death, I'll be disappointed. And Alma's the only one, obviously, who takes him up on that challenge. I think that others have failed because they don't take it as far as he wants to take it. So all his bluster about not wanting to be disturbed or challenged or confronted about anything is really his way of saying, unless somebody is willing to die in a battle with me, I can't be turned on by them. And to him, he thinks love isn't worth having unless you're fighting with somebody.
Now, I want to know about the benefits of the collaborative writing process that you engaged in with Daniel Day-Lewis. You are credited with writing the screenplay, but I understand that you guys did a lot of talking while you were developing it. What was the main benefit of that?
Well, that list is long. I'm trying to prioritize the things that would be... there's a very practical benefit to it, is that we didn't waste a year of me writing by myself, and then including Daniel. We were able to work in parallel and individually and together at the same time. That sort in preparing, he could prepare his side of the street by learning to sew and drape and all the ins and outs that had to go into building his character.
In terms of what we see in the film, what are the benefits of that kind of writing process?
In terms of what you see in the film?
Yeah. How does that process...
I don't know. The whole thing is a result of a collaboration between the two of us. So everything that you see everything, and I do mean everything, from the wallpaper to the silverware to the dialogue to is a result of the collaboration that the two of us did in the writing.
And while a lot of directors complain about the lack of rehearsal time that they have, I understand that you basically had no rehearsal time, and that was deliberate, that Daniel Day-Lewis doesn't like to rehearse. Can you just tell us again about the benefits of not having rehearsals?
Well, the benefit from Daniel's point of view of not rehearsing is to not oversay something too many times so that it loses its immediacy and freshness. It's really a pain in the ass to say something a million times in a row, and then pretend like it's the first time you've said it. So the more you can protect saying it for the first time while it's being filmed, the better it's going to be for everybody, just for everybody's sanity. Rehearsal can be considered two things. Rehearsal can be saying the lines out loud and blocking the scene and rehearsing before you get on the set. But our version of rehearsal was basically just getting together every day and making sure all the pieces were in the script and going through costume and set decoration and things like that, which is a form of rehearsal, but we weren't just we stayed away from saying the lines out loud as much as we possibly could until we were ready to film.
There's a beautiful scene where he's working, as he usually does, and he's then interrupted by her. I think she's bringing him some tea, and she then sort of says, well, okay, I'm sorry about that. I will leave you alone and I'll take the tea away. And he says something like, yeah, but you've interrupted me anyway, and the fact that you've interrupted me is still going to be here when you go. Is that an example of improvisation? It's such a great scene.
Yeah, that's a good example of Daniel's contribution to the screenplay. I wrote a version of that, and then he came back and wrote the line at the end that you just quoted, which is, the tea is going out, but the interruption is staying right here with me. So there's a good example for you.
It often happens that directors shoot more than they end up using in the film, and the process of editing is often very painful. I'd like to know if that was the case with you, or if there was a point during the editing where it went from being painful to being pleasurable.
Editing is always very pleasurable. For me, it's a really nice time. There was only a few things that were very difficult to remove from the film, and not because they needed to be in the film. They didn't need to be in the film, but it's a very difficult thing to have to call actors up who are great and say, I'm sorry, but the scene that you did, that we worked so hard on, isn't going to be in the film. Those are hard phone calls to make and really unpleasant, but you make them because it's for the good of the film. That's the hardest part. It's not getting rid of the scene, it's making phone calls to the actors who are in them.
Now, the cinematography in your films is always just so distinctive, and it's so well thought out. Paul Thomas Anderson, this looks like the most beautiful film that you've made. Is that a fair comment? Is that something that you were going for? Something that not only had a beautiful classical story to it, but that also looked like a work of art, which I think it does. It looks like a painting that moves.
Well, that's great praise. Thank you very much. But it's your response. The environment is that's the environment. It's these rooms in the theater of these couture houses, the wallpaper and the breakfast rooms, the elegance of it all. It's lush and it's magnificent, and it's not hard to make it look great. Once you kind of get into the venue of haute couture dressmaking and you're surrounded by miles of beautiful fabric, you kind of are at such an advantage towards making it look good. You have to be an idiot to mess it up, actually, is what I'm trying to say. Not that we're not good, but we are good, but...
You, in the DVD for Magnolia, you're screening the film Network for your crew. You described that film as having the best screenplay ever. Do you still believe that? And you can just tell me a bit about what you love about the movie Network.
I haven't seen it in a while, but I imagine it holds up really, really well, especially in this day and age. And the script is so good for that movie, the dialogue and the themes, and pretty far ahead of its time. Or no, I mean of its time, but ahead of its time. Yeah, I need to see it again to remind myself about it.
So good, especially these days. I'd love to know, just very quickly, can you just unpack that for 2 seconds? What do you see deficient in screenwriting today that Network really addresses?
Oh boy, I mean, it's like, I don't know, Aaron Sorkin probably could do something like that. He has that kind of intelligence and wit, old-fashioned storytelling ability, that, I don't know, it's hard to come by these days. I mean, I wish there was, like, a lot more of that.